Hello, welcome along to another video in Microsoft Flight Simulator with a slightly different intro for you today. I hope you enjoyed that. And as you've just seen, we've landed into London Heathrow on a flight from Cairo in the stunning Egypt Air livery for the Pmdg 777-300. And today we're going to be discussing how we carry out a full shutdown procedure in the aircraft, along with a bit of ground maintenance, which will pretty much bookend my mini-series on the 777. And you can check out parts 1 and 2, where we cover everything you need to know from cold and dark to cruise, and also a full descent, approach and landing. And I'll also pop some links in the description below for those. So for today then, let's start our shutdown procedure and hop inside the flight deck. So first of all then, now we've vacated the runway, we're going to make sure our ground spoilers are disarmed and we can retract our flaps. There we go. And then we can go overhead and we can switch on the APU. So let's just flip it to the on position and then start. And then I'm just going to hit the checklist button to bring up our shutdown checklist. So there we go, we can see what we've got to work our way through there. And there's not a lot else we can do until we're on our stand now, so we can concentrate on our taxiing, and what I'll do is speed the time up and we'll catch up again when we get to our stand. Okay, here we are then. I'm going to take stand 363 on the left, so we will turn in now, try and get it lined up nicely. And I haven't got any ground crew guiding us in, so I'm going to have to do this visually myself, so we'll see how that goes. Just keep the speed nice and slow, just gently dab the brakes if we need to, and that's actually looking pretty good. And in fact, if we hop outside, I'll be able to see a little bit better when to apply our brakes. And we'll just bring it to a stop there. Okay, let's get our parking brakes set then. And we can start to think about shutting our engines down. I just need to double check the APU is running, which it is. So fuel cut-off levers can go off, so engine 2 off, engine 1 off. And then I'm going to request our ground power unit, so over to the tablet and ground operations, and we can set our chocks at the top there, and then we'll just need to wait a couple of seconds for the ground power to become available. And there we go, the blue button now says request, so we can click on that and that will connect our GPU. So back overhead then, and we can turn our primary and secondary ground power switches to on, and at this point we can also switch off the APU, so we'll do that. Oop, that was a little laggy. Right, so back down to our shutdown checklist then, and we need to set our hydraulics panel, turn our fuel pumps off, and our parking brake is set. So back overhead then to the hydraulics panel, and we can just work our way backwards, turning these to the off position all the way around. There we go. So that's our hydraulics set, and the fuel pumps can all go off. The centre pumps are already off, so it's just those 4. Yeah, my simulator's really not liking that every time I jump down, is it? Okay, so that is our shutdown checklist complete. So hit the checklist button twice, 1, 2, and that brings up our secure checklist. So we need to turn our ADIRUs off, which is this button at the top of the left hand panel there. Whilst we're there, we can also switch our IFEs and cabin utilities to the off position. And moving over to the next panel, I guess we should let the kids in the back stand up. So seatbelt signs off, and my bad, I should have switched the landing lights off a lot earlier. So strobes off, nav lights, beacon lights off. And then finally over on the right hand panel we can switch our packs to the off position, so we'll switch those off. And then lastly on the checklist was our emergency exit lights, so we'll switch those to the off position, and we'll also switch all our window heats off. And that's pretty much it for the overhead panel, and it's really just working your way around the overhead panel in reverse to the startup procedure. A bit more lag there. So yeah, pretty straightforward really. And if we go down to our checklist, ADRUs off, emergency exit lights off, and our packs are off. And that is our secure checklist complete. Right, that's pretty much it for the shutdown procedure. Just before we finish, let's go back to the tablet and hit the ground maintenance button. We've now been flying around for a few weeks in the 777, and no doubt there's a fair amount of wear and tear, so it'll be good to show you guys some of the serviceable items. So we're able to refill our hydraulic fluid, our engine oil and our fire bottles, but they're all looking good. The tyres and brakes are probably going to be needing the most amount of attention, as you can see. As you hover over each item, it gives you a little status update, either green, orange or red for things that need replacing. So just before we start with the maintenance, let's hop outside and take a closer look at our landing gear then. And you'll see as we get a little bit closer in that the tyres and wheels are all really quite worn. Especially the rear wheel there is really grimy compared to the centre one, and also the front one, which makes sense. They're the wheels that crunch down onto the runway. And if we zoom right in on our brakes, we can see our brake pins there. They're wearing down, about halfway down now we can see. Moving round again, the centre wheel is in pretty good condition, that won't need replacing, whereas that rear wheel has obviously taken a lot of action. The tread as well is virtually bald by the looks of it, so that'll need replacing, and again the brake pins are wearing down there as well. So let's hop back inside and start servicing some of those items. And for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to click on everything. So we'll do our hydraulic fluid, our engine oil, we'll click on the fire bottles, there we go, and we will service the SCU motor and also our IDG drives. We'll click on that, and then we can finally click on replace tyres, replace our brakes, and also we can hit the cool brakes button. And basically the plane will only replace the items that need attention, and that'll take a couple of minutes to complete. So just while we are waiting for that, let's complete our shutdown procedure to cold and dark. So let's go back overhead then, and we can now disconnect our GPU. So primary power can go off and secondary power can also go off. And there we go. So back over to the tablet, and we need to go back into our ground operations menu, and we can release the GPU from there. And whilst we've been doing that, it looks like all our servicing items is complete. So let's switch our battery off. There we go, and as you can see, we're now completely cold and dark, so the aircraft's back in its original state. As I said, all our servicing is now complete. We can see that everything is all looking good. Again, if we hop outside and take a look, we can see, look, we've got lovely new tyres, the brake pins have been replaced, and as we pan around we can see we've got lovely clean wheels now. The front one's still slightly grimy, that one wasn't replaced as it didn't need it, but obviously in the future that one will be replaced as well. So that is all looking good. And with that, I'm going to conclude today's video on how we perform a full shutdown and ground maintenance in the Pmdg 777-300ER. I hope you found the video useful, maybe you learned something new. If you did, give it a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.